Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's chart. I really like it. We might be getting some upside finally here. Let's go ahead and take a look at our longest overexpanded period, our CCI readings, and just see how this is going. So to start out, I want to point out our CCI readings. That's Wave PM. Let me close my email so I don't dox myself accidentally. Anyway. Quad CCI, we have positive weighting, cool 14 period CCI rollups. We've had 4. Those all imply long positions. Those have all performed. 3 to 4 have caught the bottoms perfectly, and that's pretty nice. As far as the actual perspective of a cat, however, is this actually a breakout to the upside, or is this a short opportunity? That's the real question. Our longest overexpanded period is roughly around 140. That is represented by this blue band here. If we enter this blue band, it implies mean reversion down to 8,550, which is just that 140 moving average. However, with what we are looking at here, this is our defined volatility overhead, which is defining our compression range. It is very tight, and it seems to be containing price action very well. I actually don't think this is going to be a breakout because we do have the implied mean reversion, which at this current time is lateral mean reversion and not trending, right? Lateral mean reversion is where the mean travels up to meet price. Trending mean reversion would be if we broke down below the support at 9,050, which would end up in a full-blown drop to that 8,550 mark and potentially lower. However, catching this right now as a short entry is a very good idea. We're tagging both that 3.2 standard deviation as well as the top edge of that 1.25 standard deviation of the current longest compressed period. So very much recommend small short entry at this time. Either focus for that 9,040 range, which ultimately I would do. Even though there is implied downside with the mean reversion, I don't really want to bet on it until we see further downside below that support value. We're going to check out the 1 hour chart because the reading should be wildly different down here. With this current expansion that we're seeing now, there is implied potential energy, but we've already been smacked down so far off that value, that resistance, excuse me. Not too confident we're going to see higher highs just yet. So, just waiting for ACAT to load. Because down here, actually, I want to look at the 30-minute chart because we have, well, 1 hour is technically correct. So the reason I want to use the 1 hour 100% right now is because we are using the perspective from both this period of compression, then this expansion, which then increases the size of our data set, which renders following readings of expansion as less drastic than they might actually be, right? Since currently, because we're including this downward move in our data set based on this overexpansion here, this overexpansion is less drastic than it should be. So if we pop ourselves down to the 30-minute chart, which should give us proper look back, right? Because here, if we look back 100 candles, it encounters this compression, which then does not mess up this expansion here. So we're just waiting for that 3D Wave PM reading to load. Awesome. Right, that's based on the 200 period, and because of that, this technically should be fully compressed and viable for trend. So 30-minute chart is viable for trend. If this actually does end up being a higher high, I'd still say we are range bound for the time being because longer term mean reversion typically trumps shorter term expansion. So I would perceive this as a swing high for the time being. Let me check the YouTube comments. We got nothing. All right, that's my rant for today. And yeah, even here we're stalling right at that compression value, which honestly should be consistent across all time frames, regardless. Like, let's just draw that in. Right, so CLCPs are going to be more consistent across time frames than actual longest overexpanded periods, and that is, Yeah, that's almost exactly the same. Show me what you look like on the 4-hour chart. I'm curious. That's because the compression tends to manage itself better. Although here on the 4-hour chart, because it takes longer for our shorter periods to compress, based on this look back perspective, it should be starting around here. This line. Yeah, perfect. And it still perfectly captures the range. So very consistent across the board. I would consider this resistance across all time frames. So short-term short entry is viable. If we actually break here, our next resistance value would be 9,870, which would be your next short opportunity. And if we blast past that, well, then we have applied a significant force, which would enable mean reversion condition to fail and actual true trend to continue to the upside, which I really wouldn't complain about since I am still net long from my entry down here. So I'm biding my time. I might take a small counter short at the current price value, but other than that, I'm going to stay long for the time being. Okay? It's been a pleasure. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Have a good one. Ciao.